At least I knew it was a lie. She's not very bright, but Jenny's alright. She tries, but then she gets tired. She tries to hide, but Jenny's alright. Jenny ran, it was a shame, 'cause I think I love her. Jenny ran, it wasn't a game, at least not for Jenny. What's on your mind, Jenny? What makes you cry? Jenny, why are you so shy? Jenny's alright. Jenny ran, it was a shame, 'cause I think I love her. Jenny ran, it wasn't a game, at least not for Jenny. At least not for Jenny. Jenny is alright. Jenny ran, it was a shame, 'cause I think I love her. Jenny ran, it wasn't a game, at least not for Jenny. Jenny's alright. Jenny's alright.
Well, thank you, OTE, for that amazing number there. Jenny's all right. And thank you, friends, for joining us here for this, I would say impromptu, but I did kind of call attention to it like 7 hours ago in our home base. But welcome to the 100th Meridian, where the Great Plains begin. I am your host, Tragically HP. No game on tap for tonight, but this is one of those rare blue moon events where we will discuss some basic mechanics for roll20 as well as 5e, and I will try to remember to clarify this at least every quarter hour while we're doing this, and hopefully the people who need to hear it are present in our chat. Yo, what's happening? Dr. 22. But yes, hopefully the people who need to hear this information are present to hear it, and or those of you who are here can pass it along to them in our Discord home base. First reminder though, and I will put this in the form of a question: are we using the new PHB 2024 mechanics? Yes or no? If your answer is yes, you couldn't be wronger. So that's our first heads up right there. Correct, there is no game scheduled for tonight. Our Thursday game, all of our games run bi-weekly, so the Thursday game is actually next Thursday. This week was our Monday something. I forget what all we fucking ran this week, but it was Wednesday that we ran, and then we have Friday running this week. But yes, here we have an attempt at some organization. Let's get rolling onto this. Well, that doesn't help anybody. Guess we're gonna need a new window capture. There we go, beautimous. Alright, so that's what we're looking for. This is the Wednesday and Thursday table that they share here. And I have some NPCs that I need to craft here, so I will use them as an example of how to build your character sheet on Roll20 using the Character Mancer. And additionally, how to use some of the tricks here on Roll20, specifically the ones that are of importance to us here in our gaming community. What's happening here? I'm getting follows and follows. Oh, I think these are all on our Facebook group, yes? Yeah, there we go. Neil and Jamie, thank you so much for the follows there on Facebook. Hoping to see the conclusion of Redbeard. Yes, perhaps next Thursday there, my friend. Although, typically with NPCs like that, I will just kind of have them quietly fade into the backdrop, so that in the event that you wish to return, the character is ready and capable of rejoining. Okay, so this is the map that we left off on last night. Still the existing initiative tracker in place. That's not entirely important. Of course, an ad pops up. You gotta love it. Womp womp. So let's go back here to the starting page. This is where we will need our stuff, and I think Revolver Rick is who we're going to start off with. Is there a... launch Character Mancer, level 1. Beautiful, alright. Definitely thought there was something like this. So, if you've not built your character in Roll20 before, this is the preferred method. Whether you're experienced or a newcomer to it, the Character Mancer, I find, generally will take you from A to Z, and usually in a very, very quick setup here. And you can see just how many races, or species, as they're calling them now. I've been playing D&D for 35 years, so forgive me if it takes me the better part of a decade to get used to that change. And it's not an indication of my character. I hope that people do not decide to do 2 and 2 equals 5 in that respect. I'm just very much a creature of habit, and a case in point is the will save. If you remember 3rd edition D&D, they had the Fortitude saving throw, the Reflex saving throw, and the Will saving throw. When we converted over to 5e, it didn't take much for me to eliminate Fortitude and Reflex because you have your Constitution and you have your Dexterity saving throws. But for whatever reason, I could not get rid of Will and transfer it with Wisdom saving throws. So for like at least 5 years or so after we started playing 5e, I would say roll a will save, and some of you are like, what the fuck is that? So it takes a while for these changes to ingrain themselves in me, and that's really all it is. But here we have all of these different race options, and I'm going to give y'all a heads up right here as well. After listening to our replays of the past 24 sessions, as well as recollecting some of the incidents that we had in the Coalescence chapters 1 through 3 when we were merging Star Wars with Final Fantasy with D&D, the Cobalt Press material, it may not be long for our games. And this is something I'm thinking I'll have to pull the trigger on sooner than later, because the longer that we sit with it, the harder it's going to be to pull away from it. Right now, we've all got level 2, maybe level 3, maybe level 4 characters, depending on your subscription status, your Beskar Buck redemptions, what have you. But creating or recreating your character to do without the Cobalt Press material will be far easier now than it will be later. And this is strictly done for sanity, I would say, because we've encountered it on at least half of the occasions when we implement a Cobalt Press spell primarily. Some of their races and their subclass features leave a little too much room for interpretation, in my opinion. But when it comes to spells, it's insane. Some of these spells just have no attack roll, no saving throw. Some of them are very much just like, you do this and they take this, which is somewhat antithetical to TRPGs in general. There are some spells that simulate that effect. Some people would say, well, Magic Missile is you just cast it and it automatically hits them. And I would say there's also a first level spell that gives you a reaction to automatically counter that. Some of the spells introduced in our Kobold Press material do not have the same countermeasures in play. And beyond that, there are just too many examples of the spell gets dropped in the middle of usually a pretty tense combat, and then on the spot I've got to make a ruling, and it's always kind of tainted by the current vibe that we have going on at the table. So when I say it comes down to sanity, that's pretty much all it is. I don't want to have to keep pausing the action to come up with rules. Interpretations that really should have just been put in there to begin with. Anybody that's ever designed their own spell for any edition of D&D knows the basic principles. Like, are you rolling to attack, or are they rolling to save? Or is it one of the rarer combinations where it's both? Very seldom is it neither. It's just you cast and they take. Like, I've never really seen that, aside from like a power word kill, which it's a 9th level spell, so some justification for it being that groundbreaking, that rules breaking. Having 1st and 2nd level spells that simulate that effect just on a lower damage level, like you just decide to hit them for 2d8 damage, it's a bit of a stretch for me. So I have considered putting it up to a poll. I have equally considered, all due respect, fuck the poll. I will make the decision myself. I put the material into the game, and I can likewise take it out, especially since, and I've been very careful about doing this, so we can give ourselves a little pat on the back there. I've always said the Kobold Press material is subject to playtest, so it can be removed at any time. And any time maybe sooner than later. So here we are with our Revolver Rick. We are using the Charactermancer. Arm Ripper, what's going on there? You should see if you can change your Twitch name to Skull Crusher. Change it for the campaign season here. Likewise, a lot of these race options here, and this is really the only area that I struggle with removing the Kobold Press stuff. I like all of the race options, and very few of them have I found to be particularly game-breaking. It's mostly the class features and the spells, and maybe to an extent some magic items. I don't know that we've really delved too much into the magic items of Kobold Press. And not to knock Kobold Press, we've had a lot of fun with their material for years now. We're just discovering the more and more we delve into it that there are some things perhaps still in beta mode. So Revolver Rick is human, PHP human. And we're going to go a little spoiler here. Alignment is... Where will it stop? Nobody knows. Is it going to be... Oh yeah, he's straight neutral. Okay. So, languages, we have Common. For him, that means English, because he cannot speak Common. He does not get access to any of these other languages right here, despite the fact that his character kit allows him to have it. There's just no excuse for him to have any of these languages. Perhaps at another point in time, if the character evolves and has need to pick up a second language, usually that's just a hand wave. We don't tend to be like, well, what's your maximum number of languages? Like back in 2nd edition, if you remember that, they had a max number of languages that any character could learn. And I almost always do standard human, +1 to everything. Some people will bash that. I say it's pretty damn cool. And then we go to next. And Revolver Rick. Give him Spanish. Yeah, right. Hey, the bot said you leveled up to level 4. Very cool, very cool. I believe the last level that I attained in the server was level 69, so pretty cool in that respect. Alright, so he is a... I'm thinking we're gonna go Ranger with Revolver Rick. Skill profs. I think Perception, Survival, and I think he needs to have some measure of insight. It's never not funny. I tell you, this is a treat to find here in Vegas. I don't find it too often at the grocery market, so whenever I can get my hand on some A&W cream soda, it's a good day. Even more so if I have some vanilla ice cream and can make a float out of it. Favored enemy, I mean, I feel like it has to be undead. And the favored enemy language, there's really no undead that he's going to be able to learn how to speak. Likewise, it's giving him bonus languages that he really has no means to learn. Natural Explorer, this is what type of terrain? He is New Mexico, so it could be desert, could be grassland, could be mountain. I think let's go mountain. And then look at this, they're giving him language, goodness gracious, more languages to replace the Natural Explorer feature. No. And then choose one of your skill proficiencies. It is doubled. Okay, so that's handy. I think we'll double his survival. Favorite enemies, communist. Nice. Favorite enemies, Chairman Mao. Okay, favorite foe, equipment, yep. Ability score method, we always use, what is it, ladies and gentlemen? Point by, roll for stats, standard array, or custom. That's right. Standard array. A woo woo woo, a booty boop boo. So we get one of each of these. I tend to try not to min-max my characters, although some of them just have to be done that way. But I think in his case we're going to lean wisdom over dexterity. Even though attacking is his forte, he does have a bit of a skill base to his character. And for our purposes, I mean, these are both +2, so it's just this is closer to the +3. And now, I think Charisma has to be the dump stat. If you've ever looked at his character token here, he is not the handsomest of the handsome. Why always standard array? It keeps us all on the same page so that you don't have one player who rolled a bunch of 10s and 11s for their stats and one guy who was like, I got 18, 18, 18, 17, 17, and 18. And yes, even though nobody saw me roll them, it's completely legit. I rolled them last night at 2 a.m. with my dice. It was the hottest thing that ever happened. You have to let me use it. Standard array keeps everybody on the same rough playing ground here, and then of course whatever upgrades you decide to throw at them thereafter is all fair game. So con, intelligence, and strength are what we have left. I think con will be needed. And then strength, I guess, let's put the 10 in strength and the 12 in intelligence. So yeah, he's going to be a little smarter and wiser than he may appear to the average bear. Choosing backgrounds, likewise, this is something that's going to likely alter some of our existing characters, as many of these backgrounds, Midgard Hero's Handbook, like any of these that are MHH, are likely to get removed. DM is Dark Magic, DM Volume 1, Dark Magic Volume 1. There's so many of these that come from the Kobold Press material. And really, these are not like heroic background characters. Like maybe Rick did a little tour in Vietnam. I really don't even know what's up with Tasha's custom lineage. Is there any reason why it wouldn't remain the same? What's the deal with Kobold Press? All Kobold Press material, as has always been stated, is subject to playtest, meaning that it can be altered or otherwise at any given time. And what I was rambling about earlier is that I may just remove all the Kobold Press material pretty much immediately going forward. There have just been too many interpretations, too many things that are left open, too many things that don't have the checks and balances put in place that a lot of the existing 5e materials do. Okay, so we take Soldier. That's going to give us Athletics and Intimidation for skills. It also gives us Proficiency in Land Vehicles, and yeah, we'll learn how to play some dice. What's happening? Estima following us there on Facebook. Thank you so much. A specialty. I'm thinking he's probably just straight infantry. And personality, stuff like this, I don't really use their preset stuff for my NPCs. I just kind of wing them as they are, so we'll leave that blank. Of course, if you're a PC, do not do what I just did. Fill in those attributes, whether you use the preset or something of your own, just so long as there's something there. Because you may know how your character is, but if the DM decides to take a look at your character just as a refresher, as to what your bonds are, what your flaws are, so that he might use that in a future campaign, and it's all blank, yeah, it's not the best. And what else do we have? We're going to do class equipment. Leather armor, effectively he's got a leather jacket. Any simple weapon, I would say he could have a short sword. And I guess a hatchet, hand axe. A hatchet. Explorer's pack, sounds about right. Goodness gracious. And a deck of cards, since we already took the dice. Okay, no spells for this guy. No feats at level 1. Of course, that is the advantage to taking the variant human, is you get a feat, but not as many points in your attributes. All of these details, likewise, I just kind of leave empty for my NPCs, because age, height, weight, etc. I just, like, here's the guy. You tell me how much he weighs or how tall he is, what have you. And that's it. It does give me some heads up here. You haven't picked your personality traits, ideals, flaws. Here's all these extra languages, 4 of them as a matter of fact. And those are all the things that I intended to skip. So, apply changes. He's got a can of dip. He should, right? Man, I ain't had some dip in a long fucking time, dude. Wow. That's some memories right there. Okay, so this is what your character looks like by default. Level 1 version of Revolver Rick. And he has no weapons whatsoever here, which is kind of weird because I took a short sword and a hand axe, so those should be right here. But this gives us an opportunity to do one of our bootcamp issues right here. For those of you unfamiliar with the compendium, it's this little thing right here. As the player, you probably don't have this thing right here, the little art palette. This is just where I have all the assets. for all the different games and things that have been purchased. If you have purchased assets through roll20, even as a player, I don't know if you'll have access to them in somebody else's game. Maybe you will, but to my understanding, it's going to go right from the chat log, right to the journal, and then right here to the compendium. And this game has some compendiums blocked. The only one I blocked, I think, was the Explorers, or no, the Esper Genesis setting, but I may turn off all the Cobalt Press stuff, as I was saying. And here you can search by the different categories. I never really mess around with any of this stuff. I just search directly by the terminology here. So short sword, and I always forget one word. And here's an important distinction. Do not use the 2024 material with these character sheets. It won't populate. You won't get anything out of it. I think, yeah, it looks like the original Player's Handbook entries are just gone, and now it's replaced with this 5th edition SRD. So this would be the one we want. You drag it to your character sheet, accepting drop. Yep. You don't necessarily have to drop it there. You drop it up here if you want. And there we go. Now we have this beautiful thing set for the short sword. And because Revolver Rick is a beloved NPC for the Thursday crew, we're going to do a little modification here to his weapon. This is another important thing for any of you who play in the RU crew. One of our house rules is maximized critical. And the way you do this will save me a lot of time, especially if your characters have like 7 or 8 different attack options here. You hover over the weapon here, you see that little gear open up, and here's all your basic information. Attack, it's using your dexterity modifier. You can change that to anything. Of course, it has to be legal. You can't decide to just use your charisma with the short sword. That's not a legal play for any character, as I would think. If you have a miscellaneous modifier, this would be a good place to put it. Say you got a +1 with short swords to attack. If it's a magic short sword, though, that's where you would put the magic bonus, because then that's going to apply it to your attack and your damage. Crit range. If your critical range is anything other than a 20, say that you've got one of those improved criticals to where you crit on a 19 or above, just change it to 19. And it's as simple as that. And then when you roll a 19 or a 20 in the chat log, it'll pop up as green, indicating that you've got the crit. And here's how we do our maximized criticals. You see the damage, 1d6, plus your dexterity modifier. The type you can, of course, change out is piercing by default. And crit, right here, by default, it's just going to do another d6 damage on a natural 20. What we want to put there is just a straight number 6. So that way, if it crits, it will roll the d6 here, and it will just add a flat 6 right here. That's how we do the maximized critical. Some of you may have the... I'm going to do a dagger here. This is another important one that a lot of our characters have. Dagger +1 from the DMG or the 5th edition SRD. I'm guessing this will probably be replaced with 2024 once the DMG comes out for that, so I will probably end up using the SRD one here just to avoid any future complications. Likewise, we have the Dagger +1, except the official terminology for it is the Undead Slayer. So if you have one of those magical daggers that does the extra damage versus Undead, kindly name it Undead Slayer, so that we have some uniformity across all of those weapons. It's very important. It can be thrown. If you're unfamiliar with what the 2 different ranges mean, the first range is what you can throw it at without imposing disadvantage. And then the number after that means you can throw it up to that range with disadvantage. So if you're throwing this dagger anything 20 feet or less, normal attack. Anything 21 feet to 60 feet, you can still try it, but it's at disadvantage. And then, yes, so here we have the Undead Slayer Dagger. We're going to change the crit to 4 on that. And then we're going to activate the damage 2 box here, because this weapon does an extra die 4 against undead. And the way we want to represent that is just like that. Versus undead is the weapon type. Also would get a maximum crit. Oh yeah, you can collect them after the battle if you throw them, assuming that you don't like accidentally throw it off a cliff, or the person you throw it at like runs away with it still stuck in their back or some shit. So Undead Slayer, let's take a look at this now and see just how it's supposed to look. That's exactly what we're looking at right there. So it does the 6 normal piercing damage and then the extra 3 if it's an undead. So that helps. That's immensely easier on my side when I'm looking at what you've rolled. Great, they've used the Undead Slayer. I know that this is only applying versus undead, which 90% of the monsters we've fought so far have been. But if you're the Sunday Night crew and they have fought primarily bandits with automatic weapons who are trying to take their shit, the Undead Slayer is perhaps not as useful. Those daggers, so far, have only been given out as a prize for a specific trivia, and then one table has found one of them in the course of play, so there will be others uncovered as treasure. But for right now, the only way that anybody got their hands on one was by answering that trivia a few weeks back. Okay, and then he likewise had the hand axe. Easy drag and drop, just like that. Go into here, change the crit to 6. Should be all we need to do. And now, another important one. They don't let you copy the attacks, unfortunately, so I need another. Fuck it. Let's do. No. Let's do it this way. Yeah, let's stick with the original idea. Okay, so another dagger plus 1 from the SRD. And then we're going to change this to Undead Slayer with the orange peeler. So if you happen to have this badass weapon and you have the orange peeler feat, this is exactly how I want these attacks plugged in. There has been a bit of misunderstanding so far as to what always crits means. It doesn't mean you can't miss. You still have to hit their AC. What I should have specified is all damage is considered critical damage. Not every attack you swing is considered a crit. Okay. So we do that, and on a crit, it's going to do 8. Okay, and then damage 2 is that, and versus undead. Okay, so once we pop that in, let's spam here. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Perfect. So the way this orange peeler feat works is that any attack that lands is going to be considered a critical hit. So that's why the damage is a die 4 plus 4. So it's always considered to be doing a maximized critical hit on any attack that lands. Likewise, for the versus undead part of the damage, it's also getting the plus 4 for the maximized damage. Now here, we've rolled an actual natural 20. This is what I meant when I was saying the other night, is that you can actually crit the crit. Because this is a normal attack that, assuming if we had hit a 14 AC here instead of a 12, that's 15 points of damage from a dagger, which is just insane compared to some of the damage that other people are swinging. Roll a natural 20, though, And now you've done 16, 24, 31 points of damage here off of the same dagger because you have the Undead Slayer with the Orange Peeler feat. So a couple examples right there of how that needs to be input. Let's see, I had all these ideas in my head while I was driving around earlier today of what I was going to go over. We've already gone over a fair amount of them, and like I said, we're going to try to do this every 15 minutes as a refresher for hopefully those who need to hear it, or if you already know it, perhaps you'll be so kind as to pass the information along to others who may still be under mistaken perceptions. Are we using the PHB 2024 rules at the current time? And like before, the answer to that is no, we are not. The only exception that we've had is with the holy water, because I like putting an expendable resource like that. I like putting the die roll on the defender as opposed to the attacker, so the attacker doesn't go, I spent 50 gold pieces on this bitchin' alchemist fire right here, and I rolled a natural one, and it just splashes harmlessly against the wall. At least the way it is now with the 24 handbook is you're definitely hitting them. It's just, do they make the save to avoid it, or are they going to take the damage? So that it really takes the stress out of your hands, which is something I like. That's the only thing from the 24 books that I've implemented so far. Yeah, I tell you, my respect for Mr. Crawford there, the game designer of 5e, took a major downswing tonight when I saw that thing about his ruling for invisibility versus sea invisibility, which is just the dumbest fucking. That's New England Patriots playbook shit right there. And that's the biggest fucking reason why I hate that fucking football team. To this day. Alright. So I think his character sheet is good. What else did we have that we were going over? We got compendium. What about our roll20 features? I wanted to go over this stuff right here. I wonder if this works in here. Let's say 2 dice 6 R O greater less than 2. It does work that way. Okay. But this is the dice macro right here. This is a very important one for those of you playing characters with a great fighting or great weapon fighting or the like that allows you to re-roll your damage dice. This is infinitely easier than every time you roll having to check and then saying, oh, hold on, I need to re-roll, because that just gets old every single attack. We've had barbarians and fighters who, of course, that's the build for the class. Like you're designed to dish out that extra damage. But if you have a macro that is going to save us countless minutes in the long run just by adding an RO less than 2 after your attack there, please do so that we don't have to go over that every time an attack is rolled. For those of you unfamiliar with how to ping, just hold your left clicker there with your mouse for a second or two on that map. Bing, bing, yep. Similarly, you can use the ruler tool. I know other people like to just do this. Be like this. This is where I'm targeting. Look, see where I'm pointing? Like Justin does that. So either are acceptable methodologies here. this is all basic stuff right here. If you're unfamiliar with your character sheet, just browse around with your mouse. Get to know where everything is on your character sheet using the Revolver Rick again as an example. You can see initiative lights up. All my saving throws light up. My attributes light up. Every single skill, every single attack. All of these class features, the difference here being this will post it to the chat log. This will open it up for you to read without showing it off to everybody else. Likewise with spells, I don't have any spells for this guy, but they have the same kind of thing where you can post it to the group, or instead of a gear cog, I think it's like an information tab that again will just open up the spell description for you to look at. And yes, the compendium is the perhaps most valuable feature. I do need to update this handout, but I've held off on updating it because I need to copy and paste it over to the other game pages as well when I do so. So once I have the inclination to do so, you all know what I mean though. Technically, you don't even need to know what the icon is. If you just leave your mouse there for a second, it'll kind of like pop up with the what it is. So, compendium, and we've already been through this a few times tonight. You can drag and drop items directly from your character sheet. You can look at all the magic items, the spells, the rules, monsters. Don't look at the monsters unless your character is the type who transforms or has need to actually look at that kind of stuff. And yep, we've seen the accept drop from compendium box right there. What are you talking about there, Sarge? They used to have a killer Mexican? Or what? I'm missing what you're talking about there. And yes, this thing right here, the big space saver on your virtual tabletop. Yes, indeed. Some of the weapons will do that, and that's an important one for Revolver Rick here. I don't know why that happens. I'm not sure what the deal is with that, but he has a pistol. So we want to drag the pistol automatic from the Dungeon Master's Guide. And yay, it accepted the drop. But like Brad says, where the hell is it? Oh, here it is. It's in the inventory, but it's not in the attack blocks. So when that happens, the Patriots used to have a killer Mexican. Oh, yeah, now I get what you're talking about. Forgot all about that fucker. Okay, so in this case, we need to manually craft one of our own. That's unfortunately the only way to go about it. This happens primarily with firearms, I've discovered. For most other things, you can drag drop it, and it does give you the pertinent information. But for something like this, we need to craft it by ourselves. A pistol is going to be a dexterity weapon. The range for such will be listed in its details here. 30-90. Magic bonus crit range damage is... I could have sworn the pistol did 2 dice 6. That's kind of cool. Look at that with the new PHB setup. Gives you the full illustration and all that. Just gotta let it get all synced up is what we're waiting on. Yeah, the laser pistol does 3 dice 6. Huh. Maybe I just was imagining that and just been doing the wrong damage this whole time. Whoops. Alright then, so 1 die 10, and that is piercing damage. Critical damage will be a max of 10. There we go. That's his primary weapon. So here's another little shortcut. This padlock down here. You can use that to change the order of any of your weapons. You can also click the hashtag of death to get rid of any of these things. As Revolver Rick does not actually have an Undead Slayer, we're going to get rid of those. Really, we're just using that as an example. And here's his automatic pistol. Yeah, that's about how he's been doing. I think, like any ranged weapon, though, it should add the dexterity. Yeah, not strength. So that's another thing you want to pay attention to. Strength attack is going to add strength to the damage. Dex is going to add dex, etc., and so on. Very few, if any, exceptions to that. Well, okie dokie. Reeve does 30, 40, 12 on a crit. Yeah, if it's a sexy looking pistol, you can use charisma. I have 2 guns. 1 for each of you. What's happening there, Ken? How you doing, man? Alright, so that is Revolver Rick. Let's move on to Opie Trev here, who also needs a character sheet update. Launch Character Mancer, level 1. And unlike our other guy, this dude is not human, but half-elf. And ability score increase. What? Intelligence, dexterity, yeah, that's all good as it is. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, a little late on the custom origin there, but I see what you're talking about there. Scrolling up in the chat. Ability scores going to backgrounds, it would work. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to answer any questions. I'm not even going to try to theorize like how this mechanic is going to mesh with a PHB 24 ruling right now. That is probably reason number 1 why the answer to are we using it is no, because I am not prepared to script 7 tables worth of adventures and also try to handle theory crafting on the side. That's not my deal. Alright, so our alignment for Opie Trev, we are leaning a little bit more towards neutral. Good. And because this guy's from the D&D setting, we can actually go all out with his character design. He is gonna... Wow, that's a lot of skill proficiencies to choose from. He gets these as part of being a half-elf? Crazy. Alright, well we have Elven and Common. And I guess we should also take... Man. Fuck it. Dwarvish. And then skill profs. Let's go nature. And yeah, I do like medicine. We'll do that. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so yeah, you get a little extra oomph there to the attributes. I see what we did. And we are a rogue, primarily. New skills. We're definitely going to want stealth, perception, deception, and sleight of hand. expertise. Definitely medicine. And yeah, let's go with thievy tools. Thieves can't, sneak attack, starting equipment, all pretty basic. Standard array once again. This guy will definitely be a little more min-maxed. We're gonna go charisma, and then wisdom, and then con, and then strength, and then looks like int will be the low one out. Background, we can definitely be a little more something in here. City Watch, what do you got with that? Athletics and Insight. More languages and 2 more skills. I like it. Me too, man. Me too. Went with the low intelligence. And so halfling, and we'll go gnomish. Yeah, we'll just we'll take all the classics and speak all of the original player's handbook. And I always like to do class equipment. Back in my teenage years, they didn't have this as an option, really. You just was like, here's your starting gold, and then turn to this chapter and buy all of your equipment. And there was a lot of excitement in going about that, like deciding what you would need and what you didn't, as opposed to having a preset pack that just gives you everything you need. But, yeah, nowadays, especially for an NPC, I'm not about to spend that kind of time. Let's go short S word, even though the rapier is the more mechanically optimized. And yes, short bow also. It's not always about optimization. Although, it's like fucking Obi-Wan when Alderaan gets destroyed, except the GM when he makes that comment. I heard a strange noise as if every player suddenly cried out. Yeah, in protest would be the appropriate fill in there. It's not about optimization. What are you talking about? And yeah, we didn't pick our personality and stuff. I know kind of what I'm doing with him. And Opie Trev is one of our few NPCs who has attained the lofty level 2. And as I stated before, he is multi-class. So here is a valuable delve into this right here. It's a little complex, and it's real easy to accidentally double level if you're not careful. So I'm going to not level in Rogue. So I want to turn that to 0. And then I do want to multi-class. And then you choose your next class. And we're going to go with Ranger. And then we do want to put a level into that one. If, unless they've changed things, this would just always be set to 1. So now I would technically be going up 2 levels here, which is not what he's entitled to at this stage. And for my part, I never do the average hit points. I always roll, so let's see how that goes for us. Hey! Worked out in our favor. Okay, so we get 10 hit points this level. And everything else as is. Then we go to next. Here's what we get for being a level 1 ranger. Some additional proficiencies. We get another skill. Oh yeah, typically like 1 out of 3 rolls will be above the average for me, but even still, I'm old school. Wow, this dude has almost all of the available skills: investigation, animal handling, or survival. I think we better go animal handling. A favored enemy. Yep, we did this with Revolver Rick. It's got, well, I think we're gonna go human, and of course, what elf doesn't like to get their digs in on a dwarf once in a while? Favored enemy language. Well, we've already gotten that for both of them. I guess Orc would be the next traditional classic language to take. Natural explorer, elf. Of course, we're going to go forest. Wow, this dude's going to be able to speak every language under the sun. 2 more languages. And note that I'm trying to stick to the PHB entries because a lot of these are from Cobalt Press, so I don't want to fuck around with those too much. Sylvan, that sounds about right. And then we get a expertise in another skill. Last time we took medicine, this time we'll take perception. And booyakasha. There we go. A level 2 rogue/ranger named Opitrev. Uh-oh. A little stall here. I know some players have had that issue before, and typically it saves even though it doesn't show that it did. Oh, it's going to stick us back here. Okay, well, we'll try this again. That's unfortunate because usually as the GM I have kind of a workaround if it's a player's character sheet, but it would appear for mine I do not get that. Did I miss anything? Didn't think I did. Oh, this looks all kinds of effed up now. Okay. There we go. 3rd time's charm. Rogue 1, Ranger 1, everything looks like it's lining up okay. Do we have any armor? Definitely gonna pick up a studded leather. Studded leather armor, there we go. And that will automatically populate there. It will also automatically adjust your armor class based on the settings that are over here. This is also another valuable area for anybody here at Role Playing Unlimited to be familiar with. Add Dex tiebreakers to initiative. That is something we always want checked. We always want the automatic roll damage and crit also activated. By default, these are going to be off. So anytime you get a new character, that's one of the first things you want to do is change those entries. If you are a supporter or higher, there is a hero points option right here, which you can turn on. And it will actually give you a hero point option right here. Unfortunately, it really only works for the supporter base level because it just does a D6. So if you're going to use the one for the D8, it's best to just kind of create it as an additional resource right here. And then you can, of course, label it accordingly. Hero point D8. It's the start of the month, so you've got 10 out of 10, and then of course as you use them, tick them off accordingly. Oh, I got 98 now! Very cool. Woo woo woo. Alright. So we got that. Also over here, track hit dice by class. I do want that on because I am multi-class. Weird. It doesn't look like it did its normal thing. Like normally it would have like a D8 and a D10 like right here. This all looks different too. The new death saves area. It's like they've kind of updated the original character sheet a little bit. Okay. That's all fine. Some other interesting things here that you can toggle on if your character has that powerful build feature. Hopefully it would just automatically put that on there if you do, but if not, likewise Halfling Luck, Arcane Fighter, given an attribute increase. Yeah, I've not seen that one before, but you can always, if it doesn't automatically adjust it in the Character Mancer, I mean, it's as simple as now I have an 18 dexterity. Can always just manually make those adjustments. That's one of the easier ones that you can finagle right there. Very cool. And then, yep, if you take additional classes, they will be represented here in the multi-class box. Additionally, if we ever created a custom class, here's where all of those baseline details would come into play here. If you have extra spell slots for whatever reason, I know Westy did last campaign, he had like 2 extra 9th level spell slots, so you could just do level 9 plus 2. Similarly, if you have any special bonuses to skills, or like right here for my medicine, I have expertise. I was also supposed to have it on perception. So that's something worth noting there, that it didn't track. And then when I go back here, expertise basically doubles the proficiency modifier or the ability modifier, one or the other, as I recall. So you'll note medicine and perception are both at +5 for being wisdom skills, which the only thing I have close to that are my dexterity and charisma skill. What else? What else? That's all good. That's all good. Yep, if you have any special bonuses to your saving throws, your death saves, your global modifier to all your saving throws, this would be the place to put it. Armor class tracking, automatic by default. If you're playing a barbarian or monk, you're going to want to change that to custom, so that the base armor class, if you're a barbarian, is going to be Dex plus Con. And then I believe if you're a monk, it's Dex plus Wisdom. Otherwise, everybody should just be using automatic, and it will just use the armor plus your Dex bonus plus whatever maximums they have in place. Definitely don't get attribute bonuses every level up. I know fighters get them every even level, but no class gets attribute boosts every level. So that might be part of why it didn't track. And otherwise, I think that is good for this character for now. The sneak attack right here in the center. This is another thing, like if you have a Barbarian Rage or a sneak attack, turn that on. And then, hey, this guy didn't get any attacks either, and he had a short sword and a short bow. So there's the short sword, short bow, the OG. Uh-oh. I didn't take. Try again. We might have a lag. It's going to give me 2 short bows here in a second. Yeah, roll20 is acting up. Rolling a little slow here right now. Just want to see if I can get this short bow in place before I forget. In the worst case, I'll just add it on next session. There it is. Page reload will usually solve the problem. Test attack. And yes, it will include the sneak attack damage in there as long as you have this toggled on. Of course, natural 1 ain't going to do anybody any favors. And that is it for that. So we've covered some of the basic stuff in that respect. I think I am going to give my voice a rest here for a few minutes. So I'm going to send it to a BRB. And if any of you have any specific questions that you would like me to address on the other side of the break, we will cover that here shortly, friends. Are you with us? Alright, friends, we are back, and another important one to touch upon here. Yes, Arm Ripper sent me a DM here during the break, and I had to do quite a bit of delving to find the answers to that, and that will be an important thing to address here going forward. One important thing to take note of is, man, how do I say this? So it kind of goes without saying that any GM that's running 14 games per month definitely has not a whole lot of free time, I guess would be the way of saying it. But beyond that, in addition to running the games, of course, I host the community, I put up these trivia contests and things of that nature. So it's very important when I do a trivia contest and I announce the winners of such and post what the rewards are, and I'm very specific about what the rewards are, and I almost always pin the results there as well so that they don't get buried in chat further on down. And just as quickly as I hit that pin message, that information evacuates my mind, because I'm on to the next thing. I'm on to what's the table that I'm running tonight, what's the next trivia bonus that I'm going to try to put together, what's the next homebrew feat that I'm going to put together. So it's very important for you as the players, when you win these trivia contests, to be extra attentive and adding these things onto your character sheet right then and there. Or in the event of some of them that I've put like a postmarked date time out in the future. Of course, those you're not responsible for knowing at all. I kind of have that in my head. But Skull Crusher here won a very, very juicy trivia here just last week, like 10 days, 13 days ago. So it was the mutated Agent Orange virus trivia question that we ran here. And the rewards for anybody who got this right, Arm Ripper was one of them, included a Phoenix Down. So I'm going to look on here. I do not see a Phoenix Down. And you will not find Phoenix Down in the inventory compendium for Roll20. It is a role-playing unlimited homebrew item, obviously inspired from Final Fantasy. I take no creative credit for that one whatsoever. Additionally, we have the anti-orange. Yep, we've got one of those. The short sword +1 is definitely not there. The automatic rifle was returned to its owner. And then likewise, ditch. Okay. So we got the Phoenix Down. You already had the anti-orange put there. The greater healing potion. Yep. You got one of them. You got two of them. And I know you've drank some of them already based on just listening to today's stream. You drank 2 potions of greater healing back then, so I don't know if these are them. Hopefully they're being accurately tracked. I'm not going to fuck with what's on here, though. Additionally, you get the hastened short rest as an action. Technically, these things right here are not inventory. This is where we would go to bio and make use of all this beautiful stuff. And it doesn't really matter, character appearance, allies, organization. We don't use these for what they are, maybe additional features and traits. So anti-orange. And just a brief description here. Negate an orange attack that will drop you to 0 HP. Additionally, you've got the hastened short rest. takes 1 action. You also have the 1-point attribute boost, and this is what I'm not sure if you added in already. You were talking about adding an attribute bonus earlier, but that was like supposedly for a level up. So did you get your 1 point? He did? Okay. And that is also something we want to add here. Do you happen to remember which attribute got the boost? That we do not know. Alright, well, I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say it was wisdom. Constitution, alright. So 1 point attribute boost to con, and then orange peeler 2. You have... Okay, hasten short rest is a 1-time use. Attribute boost may not raise above 20. We got that. And this is limited to 3 uses. But it expires on Halloween. So we've already got less than 30 days to use these. No sense holding on to them, trying to optimize a use for these. We've got enough people who got these orange peeler 2 feats. You might as well just have fun with them and use them. Do not stash them like you would any kind of expendable in a video game. You'll just be disappointed because they'll expire. We should be able to figure out stats working backwards from it, but I'm really hoping to not have to do that. And then this would be trivia rewards from 9/24/24. This is how specific I want your character sheets to look. If I ever have a question as to where did you get this, why do you have this, because like I said, once I give it to you, tracking it is on you. It's posted. I frequently go back to Sean Connery in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I wrote it down so that I wouldn't have to remember it. It's written there, it's pinned, you've been tagged. So copy it, put it onto your character sheet, be as specific as possible as to what you have and where you got it. And then likewise, down here, we also had, I think I put this one in the announcements channel because that hype train was freaking amazing. And yes, Arm Ripper got, I think I did that in whatever chat. I think I did those rolls there the other day. Well, I don't know. Maybe I should check the original channel and see where I said I was going to do it. That would be helpful. The weirdest thing happened in Facebook last night, too. I had a guy reach out to me based on a post. What the fuck is a punt? A post that I put up back in August, looking for players for the Monday night table. And he's like, I'm very interested. I like what I see, and I'm also interested in your Sunday night table. I'm like, I didn't post anything looking for the Sunday night table. And so we start going through the initial recruitment process. I'm giving him the lowdown, giving him the link, come join us, make sure the vibe checks out for you and everything. And during that point is when he figures out that our gaming is on a bi-weekly schedule, and he's like, I'm out, not interested. I was like, so you knew all of these things about our schedule, but you didn't know that we were bi-weekly. That's pretty strange. All right, whatever chat. Yeah, I did do it in whatever chat. So where is it? I guess this isn't that important, but this is just how much of a stickler I want to be. And since I'm already here doing this, I want to just show you how we want this to look. Alright, so there's that. Beautiful. Okay, so 926. So this is a hype train reward. And I don't think we can really do any like bold with this, so I think maybe I'll do this like in all cap just to differentiate the section. And this was a bonus level up. 5 inspirations. These do not expire. And then back here on the core section, you got 5 potions of supreme healing. You did mark those down. So what we want to do here is ditch that, ditch that, ditch that. And then that all looks legit. Yes, indeed. And yeah, it looks like you've applied your level up, if I'm not mistaken. Because party level is 2, your annual bonus would have given you up to level 3. And then there's 2 ways possible to get to level 4, either through that hype train, or if you saved up enough Beskars to do a level redemption, technically you could be as high as level 5 right now. So there we go. That's it right there. That seems to catch us up. This right here is fucking amazing. That's straight up MJF right there. That's how I coped and healed a lot last year, man. Sometimes you need a little fucking self-confidence and a little ego to push yourself forward. I'm better than you, and you know it. It's fucking awesome. I love it. Sometimes you need that shit, man. Sometimes you do, man. As small-minded and as like fucking just cringy as it can be, like sometimes the way the fucking world treats you, man. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta fucking do to get yourself a smile for that day. Nice, he went random with it. Totally cool. Alright, so here we have all this. Yep. We've got da-da-da. Little spoiler alert there for you guys here on Monday, Tuesday, and Sunday G2. I mean, you knew we were going there at some point, right? We're in my neck of the woods. Can't have a southwestern zombie apocalypse without getting to Vegas, although we managed it in 5 campaigns of Agent Orange. We never went. I was this close. We got him to Laughlin, and we were planning on going into Vegas, but it was not a campaign that we ever saw through to its conclusion, unfortunately. This time, though, we will see. Yes, indeed, and just a little personal touch there on that message I put up in whatever chat a little while ago. This is this guy was like, oh man, it sucks because it goes from one extreme to the other. Like the people who come here and like they're just here for the gaming, they kind of participate in the community, but they're not like ingrained in the family, I guess would be a way to say it. They're typically very communicative in, hey, I gotta take a break, I can't game anymore, things of this nature, I found another table, whatever the case may be. It's the people who join in and are like just fucking, like everything is glowing and there's sparkles and there's rainbows and butterflies and hearts and all of this emotion attached with the community that I and we have put together here. They show up. If you guys remember the original community standards that I edited back this January, like it had a lengthy bio on how important Role-Playing Unlimited is attached to the memory of my father and how I find it disrespectful the way that some people choose to treat the community, because I kind of see it as a slight on his memory. These are things that I later edited out because I had a few people who joined the community who were like, yeah, I know way more about you than I ever needed to, and we haven't even shared a tabletop yet. But this guy who left today was exactly the opposite. He was like, I found it very refreshing that you opened up and shared so much of your personal story. I feel like I know you that much more. And honestly, I'm kind of on that same vibe as well. Like, I feel like we could be really good friends and really good brothers. And he immediately joins 3 Tables, becomes one of our tier 3 supporters. He becomes one of our Discord supporters. He starts boosting the server. Like, he does everything that can be done on the supporter level, the connection level, the bonding level. And then, unfortunately, real life shit happened last December, and he had to pull out of the games, and completely understood. But every few months, I would reach out and just be like, "Hey, dude, I'm thinking of you. Just letting you know, you're in my thoughts, you're in my prayers, and I hope life is treating you better right now. And if you ever want to talk, I'm here for you." And never got a response, but I would still keep reaching out every few months. And I reached out like 3 weeks ago. Similar message, just hey, thinking of you, hoping all is well. And then never got a response to any of these messages over like the last 8 months. And then today I get the notification that so-and-so has left the server. The most disturbing part of it for me is this is the second to last link in the community that traces back to the Sarah and Tony incident from a few months ago, which a few of you know the finer details of that. Many of you are just like, who the fuck are those people? Which, good on you. You're not missing anything. But for those of you who did know the finer details of that and know how it has kind of traced from that date to this current point in time, this isn't the first connection from there to here that their perception towards me has just radically changed to the point where they start ghosting. They stop showing up to games. They stop attending the streams. Like, they're not part of the community anymore. And then they eventually just ghost and fade away. So I want to say the paranoid side of me is looking at this, but how many times can it happen before you stop thinking that it's coincidence and you realize like something is really going on? Like, obviously some people don't like what we're doing here. They don't like the fun that we're having, and they want to try to fucking smear that and hurt me in any way they can. Yeah, I mean, it sucks to lose friends, but we've got a lot of great people here as well. It sucks in this particular case because I am endlessly naive in that, especially with this guy. I never thought that he would just up and leave like that. I kind of suspected that our time gaming together and that bond was kind of gone, like, unless he just came back all of a sudden. But I definitely saw like, okay, this era is over, but it doesn't mean that everything has to end necessarily. Like, our entire connection was not just about TTRPGs. Like, we kind of bonded over some other things, had some real chats. And that's the part that disturbs me the most, is just the extreme from one side to the other, and how it just keeps ending that same way with the ghosting, the blocking, and even in response, like the last guy that left, like super close brother, super cool guy that was here in the community and played in a few of our games, and even after he left, I sent him a message on Facebook like, dude, no hard feelings, man. I'm wishing you the best wherever you go. And then I checked back a little while later, and the notice is this person is no longer available on Messenger. Like, that is some hateful fucking shit. How do you look a positive fare thee well message like that and go, block? That is some small-minded, limp dick shit right there. I'm sorry to get so fucking passive-aggressive about it. This was not part of the plan for the stream at all. But, I mean, sometimes you just fucking run with it. Yeah, exactly. It's not even that big of a loss to the community. It's more of a personal loss, because I mean, just in the last year and a half alone, between people who have been in my life for a quarter century, who chose Mommy and her Eclipse of the Fart game over what we had going on here, Other friends who've been brothers for 25 years at my wedding who just decided to sever connections because our streaming platforms didn't necessarily see eye to eye. Like, I didn't realize there was that level of competition or anything like that as far as streaming communities go. Like, I just thought we were all kind of doing our own thing, sometimes helping each other, maybe not necessarily outright, but just kind of doing our own thing. Friends who've died, brothers who've died, cousins who've died, and then numerous people, at least a dozen, who've grown very, very strongly attached to me, who I felt comfortable opening up to about some real shit, who then later decided, like, yeah, I not only don't want anything to do with you, I don't want anything to do with your community, and I'm just going to ghost you and block you out entirely. And most of these people, I don't want to say most of them, a few of them I was honest enough to open up about, and I guess now that I'm saying it here, I mean, everybody fucking knows it, but one of the biggest issues I have is a lack of closure. So I think when these people know that, they know that this will be a particularly painful way to get me on the way out. Like, he won't ever know why. He'll get no closure from it. But the positive side is, I mean, the more it happens, the easier it is to acclimate and just kind of whatever you move on from. Maybe so. Some of it is on me, for sure. But I think some of it is also people are being real on both sides of it. Like, they're being honest and genuine on their initial approach, and then they're being borderline just cowardly and shady on the way out, is how I see it. Doesn't invalidate their approach, doesn't validate mine, doesn't validate theirs, doesn't invalidate mine. It's all just how we see things. And I am appreciative for those of you here who are, I mean, some people just don't know how to people, and that's part of our community as well. Like, TTRPGs don't necessarily draw, like I said, the strongest and the most stable people emotionally and mentally. So I take that into account as well. And just one thing that I keep coming back to is that it does get easier each time that it happens. As much as it sucks that it keeps happening, it's part of the lesson. So as much as I absorb it and kind of dissect it and vent about it, I do absorb the lesson part of it as well and realize, like, okay, well, this keeps happening, so what am I supposed to learn from it? And in this respect, I still don't know exactly what I'm supposed to learn, other than sometimes people just fucking suck. And I need to not take it so deeply. Like, I can take it inside, but maybe not so deeply that 3 days from now I'm still just like, man, why the fuck did he leave? So that's the compromise. That's the middle ground. And, well, I really don't know what else we're looking at here. We did our boot camp. We did our basic mechanics. We went over the compendium. We went over character creation stuff. We adjusted one of our characters as well. Want to make sure. Yep, we did. Okay, Kurt is right here now that we're on this page. Surprise, surprise, Kurt has a bard level, but he really has no idea that he can cast spells, so that's going to be a fun little thing going forward. And I may have to remove all of his spells here, because, yeah, looks like they're all Kobold Press spells, and somehow one of them is a level 1 and a level 2 spell, and he should have no level 2 spells at level 1. Just part of the Kobold Press problems. But yeah, just so we can briefly touch on spells here, like, this is kind of what your spell area will look like if you are unfamiliar. And I have no hard and fast rules for the spell side of things. Like, I guess For me, if I had the spells memorized, I would have them read, and then once I've cast them, I would unread them. But of course, if you're a spellcaster who's just dealing with, I have 2 spell slots and I can freely change between these spells as I like, why is Cloak of Shadow in here twice? Crazy. Of course, there's really no need for the red dot here. Red should be prepared, but of course, each spellcaster, I kind of leave it to you to handle your own tracking in whatever way makes sense to you, so long as when I go in to ask you, what is this, you can answer me in a way that makes sense. And then, yeah, the information tab will give you all the stuff here. Oh yeah, this was a fun one, the Pendulum spell. You give the target a degree of regularity in its motions and fortunes. If the target fails a wisdom saving throw for the duration of the spell, it doesn't make d20 rolls, but instead follows the sequence natural 20, natural 1, 19, 2, 18, 3, 17, 4, and so on. That's pretty fun. There is, absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely a limit on how many you can totally cast. Like, if you're in his situation where you're a bard, you don't have to prepare the spells. You have 2 slots, but which of these 4 spells are you going to cast? Likewise, you can get rid of spells by clicking that little padlock thing. You can also readjust them, but I believe by default they're going to show up alphabetically in your spell tabs here. Sorcerer, I believe, also works the same way, where they don't have to prepare. You just have a limit to how many you can know, and you can cast freely from that until you're out of spell slots. I think wizards are probably the only ones who have to actually prepare, and then clerics maybe have to prepare, but they also have some fluctuation, if I remember correctly. Beautiful. Never whisper, add that. Yeah, I'm glad these character sheets have stayed, because some of them have not. Yeah, Jean, I lost Jean. What about Pete? I lost Pete too, yeah, some of these went back to the default, because I think I was fiddling around with that jump gate thing at the time when I was messing with their character sheets, so unfortunately, womp-a-da-womp. We got our extras there. Grateful for you guys stepping in. Handouts. Deck of riddles. Well, yeah, we'll cover that with one of our tables here. Dealio with spell components are as pretty much as rules as written. As long as there's a spell, as long as there's a gold piece cost to it, it is a spell component you need to acquire. Otherwise, it's something that can be substituted with a component pouch, arcane focus, or the like. Even banishment. Although, once again, after seeing Jeremy Crawford's ruling on that invisibility versus see invisibility spell, I'm definitely a little less hesitant to accept all of his rulings as gospel now. Yeah, this will be a fun map. We still got a fair amount of exploration to do. Oh yeah, Sunday's already gotten here to Laughlin, so the Monday-Tuesday map is already... I guess their map's not outdated, because technically they only see up here, but I wanted Monday-Tuesday to also have a look at what else is going on here on the map, because who knows how long it will be before they get down to any of these locations. Otherwise, I think we can probably put a bow on this. I could probably ramble for a little while longer, but I'm going to save my voice for tomorrow night's stream. I got some organization and shit to do around here anyway, so thanks for hanging out tonight, friends. Hope you got some useful information out of this, and hopefully on our YouTube side of things, this streamed correctly. I don't know if anybody else caught it, but that replay stream we did earlier today, it looked fine on my side. Like, I was out at work all day, so it was like cutting in and out. But when I could get in, it was running fine. And then when I came home, everything was fine. And then I got the update for your performance recap or whatever from YouTube. And when I went to it, there's like a solid 2-hour stretch of the stream where it's just like a solid green screen, and you can see like the occasional like little glitchy shit going on. So I was like, oh no, something wrong with my computer again. I hope it's a or not a roll20, but a YouTube issue here, because man, my computer cannot keep having this shit happen every few weeks. So yeah, long story short in that respect. Hopefully this stream appeared on YouTube. I will be going to check that here shortly. Thank you again for tuning in here tonight. We will catch you tomorrow night with the Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen campaign as we continue through Chapter 4. Have a good night, all.